So you made it through the application stage and you're ready for your very first interview. But what do interviews actually look like in the games industry? And how do you stand out without sounding like a robot? In today's video, we're going to look at the most common game dev interview questions and how to answer with confidence and credibility. Hello everyone, I'm Piers Duplock, producer and consultant in the games industry. I've been working now for 15 years in this field. I've had my fair share of interviews and I've also given my fair share of interviews as well. And let me tell you, it's changed a lot over the years. So let's jump into what it looks like in the space right now for interviews. But before we get into the questions and the answers, let's talk about the mindset, shall we? Because interviewers aren't looking for the interviewees, especially for a more junior position, to be the smartest person or the best person. They're looking for somebody who can communicate very clearly. They're looking for somebody who can work well on their team. They're looking for somebody who knows the tools. They're looking for somebody who understands how a game is actually made. And most importantly, they're looking for somebody who can take feedback and action it well without taking it too personally. So your job in the interview isn't to be perfect. It's just to show how good you can contribute to the team and how you can continue to learn as well. So now that's out of the way, let's talk about some of the questions you might hear in the interview. The first one is probably the most common one. It's tell me about a project you've worked on. Now, what they want to hear from here is your process, your role, and how you solve problems on that project. Those are the three key things you should be focusing on. An example of this would be, yes, I worked on a 2D platforming game and I handled the level design. One of the problems I had was the challenge of onboarding players in a text-only game. So how I solved that was through gradually introducing more and more complexity over the first 3 levels of the game. That was a super easy and simple way to answer that question in just a couple of sentences. I told you the role, I told you a problem I faced, and I told you how I solved it. Done. We can move on. Another question you'll get at this stage is what tools and engines you're comfortable with. And this is just checking your practical skills. Don't buzzword this, don't lie to this, because you will be found out. They just want to know exactly what you do to match up with exactly what the job posting is. For instance, if the job posting is an Unreal job and you've only ever used Unity, you're going to get found out pretty quick. So just be direct and confident in this question. For instance, yes, I've built 3 projects in Unity using C#. I'm comfortable and confident using the basics of Git for version control. I've used Trello for project management, but that's all you need. And if you're still learning something, for instance, if you have started learning Jira and you've started using that, just say, hey, recently I've started looking at Jira. I'm still not fully up to speed on that, but that's something I'd like to use more often. Another super common question is tell me about something that went wrong and how you handled it. Here, the studio wants to see your emotional maturity. Do you fall apart when directed with a challenge, or do you rise to it? And they want to see how your problem solving skills are as well. Remember to keep this more professional and work focused. I have seen some people go a bit personal with this question, but just remember, we're talking about work issues, we're talking about work problems and your problem solving in a working environment. So don't take this one to a personal angle. This can be something relatively simple in nature, something like our team member dropped out during our game jam, so we had to adjust the scope and we had to spread their work out a little bit and we had to communicate that to the team. They just want to see that you're adaptable and flexible and you can kind of roll with the punches and not fall apart. And a question you'll always get, I've seen this in practically every interview, is why us? Why our company? Why do you want to work here? And what they're looking for here is alignment. They want to know if your goals match their goals and you can work together going forward. And it's also a bit of a sneaky one to see if you researched the company at all. Did you put in time and effort for the interview to understand who you're talking to? Now, obviously, you want to be genuine with this one. If you do like the company and you have played a lot of their games, you can go into that. You can say, hey, I've been a fan since X game. I love the way you did this in that game, and I love you did the way that in this game, so I want to join the company. It's a very easy one. But likewise, if you've not played any of their games, if you've not even heard of the studio before, you could say, hey, it popped up on my LinkedIn, look like an interesting opportunity. I researched your company, looks like you're really cool people, so now I want to be part of that adventure. That's a legitimate reason too. There will of course be a lot of technical and role specific questions regarding the position you're applying for and your skill set. I'll roll through some of these now, but there is kind of like a guideline I can give, and I'll give that at the end here. So for programmers, for instance, they might ask you how to implement something like a save load system. They'll give you a bit of code and they'll ask you how to implement something. Maybe they'll ask you how to optimize a function as well, perhaps. For designers, you're thinking about like, oh, how do you onboard a player? What is your favorite level design and why? Questions like that. For artists, it'll be walk me through your asset pipeline. How do you handle feedback on your artwork? And for all of these, there'll be more tool related questions. What tools do you use? Why do you use them? What are the benefits of that? Stuff like that. Now, you can prepare for all of these questions, every single one of them, by reviewing your past work. You can practice on a whiteboard or verbally by just running through the questions, running through the answers. Maybe grab somebody, a friend or a partner, family member, whatever, just run through the questions with them. And if you want to go the full 9 yards, you can also do mock interviews with friends or mentors, anybody that's willing to listen. Just get them to read these questions to you so that you can then practice your answers. And the part that tends to come at the end of the interview, but is one of the most crucial, is what questions should you ask the company? Most companies will offer you the time, usually at the end of an interview. Have you got any questions for us? Any questions you want to ask us? Because after all, it is an interview. You are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you, although it doesn't always feel like that sometimes. So you do need questions prepared. It shows that you have curiosity about the position, shows you have the maturity to know what you are doing and know questions going into it, and that you've done your research. And these questions can be kind of free flowing based off of the information you've been given earlier in the interview. That's how I tend to like doing things, but they can be more structured. Questions like, how does the team handle feedback and iteration? Basically builds off their point that they're asking you, how do you handle feedback? How does the company handle feedback? What does onboarding look like for new hires? If you're going to be hired into this company, you kind of want to know the process of which you're going to go under to get hired into this company, how you're going to get up to speed, how you're going to be productive. What tools and workflows are specific to the studio? Each company has its own way of doing things. You kind of want to figure that out before you go in if possible. This one's specifically for juniors. How do you support junior team members? After all, you want to know you're going to get the mentorship you need to succeed. So if they're just going to drop you in the pond and leave you to swim, is that necessarily the best thing for you? That's the process you'll go through for the interview. So my quick tips for nailing the interview, if there's nothing you take away from this video other than this, take away these tips, please. Don't show, don't tell. Use examples like a portfolio rather than buzzwords. Don't apologize for being a junior if you are. Focus on what you can do. Speak clearly and stay calm. Silence is fine. Gather your thoughts. It's okay. And if you don't know something, please say so. Figure it out. Like, let them know, hey, I don't know that thing right now. I'll go away and research, or I'll go away and figure it out, or just give me a moment to think about that. Perfectly fine. I'd rather that than somebody that BS's their way through the entire thing. And follow up with a thank you note as well. It's very nice for the interviewers to receive a note that just says, hey, it's great chatting with you earlier. Regardless of the result, brilliant to chat with you. I'd like to connect on LinkedIn or something like that. It's nice. It's a good impression to make. So in closing, game dev interviews can be intimidating, but they're also just conversations. And if you prep the right way and you're genuine, you'd stand out from the crowd. And if you've had an interview recently, please put it in the comments. Let us know how it went, how you felt it went. Did you use any of these techniques? Do you think you'd use any of these techniques in the next interview you're gonna get? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and catch you in the next one.